Thank you. And it's a pleasure to be here in London. It's my first time in London. And I love traveling, but when I do travel, there's three things I really look for in any given place. It's the food, the people, and the weather. And so far, London has exceeded my expectations on all three. So I'm very excited to be here with you all today to discuss the Agentic Revolution in AI. A little bit about me. My name is Cameron Nelson, and I lead the go-to-market strategy for Rocketium. We are a future-ready content marketing platform. As I'm sure you could tell, there's handouts all over the seats to give you a little background into what we do. And as it was kind of talked about earlier, the connection between product and marketing teams and creative teams and how they kind of mesh together, we kind of fall along as far as what our solution solves for is with the content folks, with the marketing folks, and how they connect in with the design teams to really help get their message across. So with that, why agentic agents? So as marketers and as creative folks, especially today, trying to reach your audience and reach, essentially get more revenue for the company, it can feel often like you're trying to fill a bottomless pit, one spoonful at a time. There's need for more variations of your product. There's need for more personalization, more localization. And as attention spans dwindle and we're all on our phones checking Instagram, we want the latest and greatest, the need for refresh is greater than ever. But what if I told you that help is on the way? And not in the form of more interns or more coffee, although I can always use more coffee, but with the advent of agents. And these agents will work essentially as your own personal digital assistants, except they don't show up late for work, don't need breaks, they won't accidentally steal your sandwich out of the break room fridge, and they're working 24/7 on your behalf. So, well, why this and why now? So, the definition of agentic AI and AI agents is a little varied. And the reason for that is because there's been AI agents around for at least the last year or so. But as marketers trying to highlight the latest and greatest, I'm sure you guys have all heard about AI agents in 2025. And if you haven't, I'm sure you're going to hear a lot more about it throughout the rest of the year, as it is the hot topic for a lot of thought leaders in the industry. But before I get into the why, I want to focus on how. So these are the trends that we've seen. Here's 5 trends that we've seen that have kind of led up to this agentic revolution. So the first of which being a reduction of operational costs. And that also goes hand in hand with these executives in the boardroom looking to increase revenue as well. So how do I reduce my costs, increase revenue, and at the same time where we have this emergence of AI, it's equaling the playing field between some of these traditionally big players and some of the smaller companies that maybe don't have as much manpower, but are more willing to experiment with not so traditional forms of technology such as AI. Now, we've all heard the cliche, doing more with less or doing more with the same. I'm sure a lot of you are in the same boat when it comes to that. And so, how do we, generate more content faster? How do we show our product best to the customer is at the forefront of everybody's mind. And next, if you are a marketer or an advertiser, delays in showing your product to the customer or not having the right message at the right time can directly lead to a loss of revenue. And similarly, if you're not talking with the product team, you're not giving the message properly, or the legal teams, then not only can it lead to a loss in revenue, but it can also lead to possible legal ramifications as well, as was discussed earlier. If the AI is giving you either information that's off-brand or content that is derogatory or leads the customer away. And all of these can essentially lead to, AI in general. And so now we have entire teams at organizations dedicated to finding the latest and greatest in AI technology and how it can be used to really help streamline whatever business process that they're looking to solve. So in steps AI agents, for these reasons. And as I mentioned, while there's no clear-cut definition, and essentially the way that we view it is an AI agent that works within a silo of responsibility. So what that means, in 2019, AI was mostly generative. It was in its early stages, and it was a fun toy to play with, but it didn't have real-world implications as far as being able to use it for a brand or a business. And it was a fun toy. Stepping into 2022, 2023, there were some early adopters, and the whole machine learning and automation phase really started to kick in, and it really started to be a useful tool that accelerated a lot of business. Now fast forward 2025, and everybody's using AI. We have Siri in our pockets who we can talk to. I'm sure we all write our drafts to our bosses on ChatGPT, and it's taking over the industry. But what's changed now is that instead of this needing to be prompt-based, where AI agents differentiate themselves is that they are autonomous. So again, they're working in their silos to solve a business outcome for your organization and for your teams. So again, going back to the notion of them being your digital assistants with a responsibility and a task, and they have the ability to not only execute this task, but execute further tasks on their own. They can be proactive or reactive within the life cycle of a campaign. So for example, say you were running an ad campaign and you had one of these AI agents who was able to send more revenue dollars towards a campaign that was performing well, reduce spend towards campaigns that aren't working well, or even be able to change messaging or product images and flip them out to create a better ad going forward. The next point here, and probably the most important point, is that these AI agents are not meant to replace humans, but enable humans to be more effective in what they do. For however many years, there was the assembly line, and there was an individual person putting a single widget or a single bolt into a widget, and repetitive task. And with the advent of machines, we were then able to remove the assembly line, and everybody was worried, am I going to lose my job? What's going to happen to the assembly line folks? But their skills were instead transformed to focus on ideation, creation, and more strategic level thinking as opposed to actual widget placement. And lastly, these AI agents are really focused on a particular outcome, and they're focused on the outcomes that you're looking to achieve in your business. So one thing to be wary of one thing that people are wary of, is that these AI agents can go rogue, and they can kind of go off, do their own thing because they are acting in an autonomous manner. And so with that, you want these AI agents to really be focused on outcomes, and whether that's more personalization, more localization, showcasing product design in a specific way. You can train your agents to achieve those outcomes for you. Now, while I'll be talking about how AI agents can be used within the content marketing lifecycle, this is one example, but there's really implications across any business cycle. So for example, a typical campaign type for our customers will look something like this. And any sort of campaign starts with ideation. Now, whereas before, you'd be starting on a blank sheet of paper, and you'd be brainstorming creative ideas and coming up with these concepts on your own, you now have a brainstorming partner who knows every single market trend, who is able to review past campaigns, assess their performance, and give you suggestions on how to generate these new ideas in a fresh way with data. Next is in the creation of these assets. So, typically you'd have to use a tool like in the creative process, a tool like Adobe or Figma to generate an image. And then if you wanted to create variations of that different product, showcase different messaging, you'd have to do that all by hand. That's where these AI agents can actually step in and scale them out at the click of a button. And next is on the review. And the review process has typically been really manual because there's a lot of legal ramifications. There's a lot of brand guidelines that needed to be adhered to as you are generating your concepts. And so to ensure that the product that you're showing to the customer is on brand, is matching the tone of your company, is matching all the legal specifications. You want AI to be able to go in and do those checks for you so that you're not manually reviewing hundreds of pieces of content back and forth. And you're just about ready to go. You have all of your you have your ideation, you have your creatives all scaled out. They're all to brand, but you want to do one final check right before your campaign goes live, just to check past campaign data, current campaign data, to see if there's any minor tweaks. And that's where they can give you predictive performance and tell how your campaign's gonna do. Now, while your campaign's in flight, these AI agents don't stop there. So what they actually do is they're able to then optimize and recreate things while they're on the fly. So before, where a person would have to be doing a manual task of reviewing data, reviewing numbers, on their campaigns, these AI agents are actually able to do that on their own accord. Again, monitor how successful a campaign is, how the customers are reacting to it, and they're for the specific outcomes that you're looking to achieve for your business. So here is a typical creative workflow, and as I mentioned, it can be any sort of workflow that within the business. But our customers are looking to solve in a typical fashion. So this is about 80% to how a marketer would raise a campaign brief and then start their ad campaigns. So a marketer would raise the brief, send it over to the design folks and the copy folks to gather assets. They would come up with a key visual, send the files back to the marketer and say, hey, is this good to go? If it is, scale it out. From there, share the files for review, run it by legal, compliance, brand, make sure that it's all good to go, incorporate feedback, send it back, make any last-minute changes, and then ship it off. So this typical process, as it's done to this day, can be very manual. However, with AI agents, you can use the same team, but less tools, and really accelerate the time to go to market, as well as reduce the cost of your operations by plugging in AI agents to that same workflow. Previously, if you were going to be running a global campaign launch, what you would need to do is talk to multiple teams in different geos, talk about the different localization, personalization that you would need to sell your product. And now, with AI, it's able to do all of the personalization, localization. It's able to get the local context. For example, it needs to know the difference between French and French Canadian if you're selling to somebody in Canada. So those little minor details can be really sped up with AI. Now, I'm about to show you a quick 1-minute video of kind of the different aspects of our tool. It'll fly by and it'll be a whirlwind, but I'll try to talk through it and kind of just explain what our tool is doing with these AI agents in real time. So as I mentioned before, it was a previously manual task to scale out your creatives. So whether you're selling software, whether you're selling an actual physical item, you want it to have a personal feel. So you need to be able to change the calls to actions, change the languages. You need to be able to change the model images. You want to be able to work with disparate teams. So by being able to get a spreadsheet from the marketing team to incorporate it, It just showed some predictive analytics as well, again. So it has heat mapping. It's able to give you predictive data, again, based upon market trends and previous campaigns that you've ran. Now, you don't want to stop there. While the campaign's live, you also want to see how each campaign's performing and have the AI agents be able to aggregate that data in a manner that is efficient. And post that, you want to be able to see any tweaks that need to be made and have the AI give you versioned variations so that you can truly optimize while your campaign is on the fly. So in summary, I want to leave you with 4 key takeaways around not only agentic AI, but AI in general for you to take home with you. So the first thing is focus on what your business needs before jumping into AI. So I'll say something a little controversial and antithetical to everything I've just said, but you should not be looking at AI tools for the sake of looking at AI tools. You should not have somebody in your organization dedicated to, I'm going to find the latest and greatest AI. What you should do is break down your process into individual parts. And with that, be able to understand where there are gaps in your business efficiencies and use AI to fill those gaps so that you're actually using the AI to achieve a desired outcome as opposed to, generate me a picture of a bunny with a hat, So the third takeaway is really about incorporating teams, tools, and AI into a singular functioning unit. As I mentioned earlier, we use AI every day on our phones. However, in a lot of these organizations, there is some hesitancy towards adoption. And I've got the question, before, is AI going to replace my organization? Is it going to replace my job? And the way that I view it is that the answer to that is no. AI will not replace individuals and organizations. However, individuals and organizations who leverage AI appropriately will outpace those who don't. And the fourth part to this is really find somebody who is interested in your business outcomes for driving your AI adoption. So I even got asked earlier today, I was talking to somebody about what I was going to be presenting on. And I told them agentic AI. And they said, oh, well, do you guys really use agentic AI? Or is it just the latest buzzword that you guys say you want to do? But find organizations that actually have built AI, have their own proprietary AI, and have been doing this for years, since back in 2019 when AI was one of those 4-letter words you weren't allowed to use, one of those taboo words, and who are really, again, interested in driving your business outcomes. So with that, I want to thank you so much for your time in covering agentic AI. Again, my name is Cameron Nelson with Rocketium, and if you guys have any questions, happy to chat, but I appreciate your time. Thanks so much.